Okay. And that's where the change needs to come. The pedagogy needs to be designed in a way that the teacher get enough time and resources to explore the concept before they sort of communicate that to children. People like us create lots of worksheets, lots of lesson plans, and then ask the teachers to sort of use it in the classroom. And the teachers, most of the time, they do it because of pressure rather than having that mindset of creating a change inside the classroom. And that, to bring that mindset, you need to involve the teacher.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 360 View from Policy to Practice podcast. This is your host, Shweta Chooramani. This podcast is a part of design phase of Neiman Global Capital's Pehel Fellowship, an innovative learning opportunity exclusively curated for rural government STEM educators. STEM meaning teachers who teach science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Today we have with us Sindoori in our show. Sindoori is currently working with American India Foundation. Welcome Sindoori to our show.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about your journey. What do you do and how did you reach where you are today before we start our interview?
Yeah. So, my journey in education has been it's been 9 years. I have been in this sector of STEM education. I started my career as a design and development executive, designing activity based learning for STEM subjects. And so far, I have worked with teachers across the country, almost all the states, in terms of building their capacities in STEM, uh, building training modules for teachers, especially for rural sector. I mean, rural areas, and designing content for children on the move. I mean to say, children who migrates. That's what my expertise are. I'm currently with American India Foundation, part of the technical advisory group for education at the national level. Yeah, that's more or less about my journey so far.
Nice to know about your journey, and it seems like you are more involved in the design and instructions and being in the technical advisory group. So, our interview is sort of divided into five main themes. One is, and we'll go one by one. The first one is, what do you think are the challenges for teachers in teaching STEM subjects in school? And you mentioned that you are specialized about children who are prone to migration.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
tell us what challenges do you see for teachers teaching STEM to these students?
the first and the most important thing is the conceptual depth. It's not about just having or knowing what a STEM. It's about understanding the interconnections, that is about understanding the interconnections in STEM and the real world implications. And most of the time, the experience that I had is teachers are extremely disconnected. At least in their teaching time, with the real world applications of STEM. And that creates a lot of issues for the children to sort of adopt uh, the way the STEM needs to be understood, right? That's the major issue that we have in our rural, especially when I talk about the government schools in India. That's what the challenge that is there. And second thing is, STEM is not something that should only bounded inside the classroom. STEM is always about having an experiential learning, and most of the time we talk this for children, but teachers who's getting trained on STEM also should learn STEM in the same way. They should do projects. They should have experiential workshop. They should also go through the design thinking modules to sort of understand, and learn the STEM as the way the student should learn, right? And the third thing is contextual relevance. um, when I say contextual relevant, the STEM or the STEM curriculum or the modules or the learnings that is meant for urban areas is not something that is a rural area or an underserved communities looking for. So that contextualization is most of the time doesn't happen because we have a standardized curriculum which is used in both urban schools and the rural school, and most of the things that is used in terms of STEM at the rural level and urban level is extremely different. The issues that the community faces, STEM is basically using the learnings in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to solve the community issues that is faced by the community, which is around the children and around the teachers, right? So contextualized teaching of STEM is something which is still not there in our system, and there are very few modules even available for teachers to sort of get explored. So these are the limitations or challenges that I see as a educator in terms of STEM teacher training for government school teachers.
Thank you, Sindoori. You really summarized it very well. You basically said three things. One is like the conceptual understanding of STEM is very different, teachers among students. Second is the relevance, whether teachers should see the relevance of the concepts they are teaching is relevant to the child or not. And the third is context, in what context we are teaching the concepts. Like, are we just borrowing the concepts from the urban education system and putting them in the rural education system? Are they making any sense to these students or not? So these are the three main challenges that you shared. Thank you very much for that. And going forward, I would like to understand from you, where do you think are the solution based on your experience?
um, Solutions basically, as I said, you know when a teacher the capacity building of a teacher is happening for STEM, from there itself the solution needs to uh, we should focus on the solution. First thing is the mindset. uh, we should not be looking at STEM anymore as a theoretical subject. Teachers needs to have that shift in mindset in terms of utilizing the opportunities, or the when I say utilizing the opportunities, it's a world where we have AI. And then when we start talking about AI in a rural setup, people sort of say that we don't have access to AI, AR, VR, and all. But if you look at in everybody is using WhatsApp, and we all have Meta AI in our phones, right? But it's also about the mindset that how do you utilize all those available resources in terms of making uh, uh, an engaging way of communicating STEM curriculum and STEM experiments to children. So starting from integrating technology into STEM, even though T is part of STEM, which is most of the time in Indian schooling system, our major focus is only on science and maths and some part of engineering, but technology most of the time doesn't comes in, especially when you're talking about STEM in grade 6 to 12. It comes after that, right? So that's one aspect of it. And then second is integrating the multidisciplinary perspectives. So when I say that, every subject is connected. uh, you know there is if you're talking about there is in chemistry and genetic engineering, which is like biology and chemistry combination, right? There are maths in physics. There is social studies in science. So that integrating concepts will actually help the teachers to sort of reduce their load, as well as we recently have launched something called Makerspace. How can you bring innovation using localized materials, and help the children to sort of create solutions for the community that they live with, using the science, maths, social studies, and in some part of engineering concepts that they learn from grade 6 to sort of 10th. And third one, I think, culturally responsible teaching, because most of the time, when we talk about STEM, we sort of isolate STEM from the from the culture, from other subjects as well. So that we need to include STEM in every aspect of a child's life, and that is something that can bring more change and make STEM as a part of their daily life or a routine.
So you basically beautifully summarized three main solutions. One is integration of technology. How can technology be integrated in STEM teaching? Second is the multidisciplinary approach and how they are integrated together with the science subjects, not to isolate science and mathematics such that students become very bored or to a point of intimidation, that they get intimidated that okay, these are very complex subjects and I
Absolutely.
can't basically learn them. But to teach them in a way that they are playful, they are fun, there is a love for curiosity, that students continue to love these subjects. And the third very important thing you mentioned about that, how do we integrate STEM as a culturally relevant needed thing, something which is omnipresent. It's everywhere. And um, how do we identify those patterns for students and for children, that it is everywhere and you are using STEM knowingly or unknowingly, such that they don't get intimidated by the complexity of STEM subjects, because that is one thing which makes students stay away from you know so Sindhuri, tell me something more about maker space. This is something a very new concept, and I'm sure a lot of our audience would love to know, viewers would
Yeah.
love to listen more and learn more about maker space.
Absolutely. So this is at this point, this is on a pilot basis. We are doing it in Hazaribagh, which is the rural part of Jharkhand, if you know. So makerspace is basically a classroom. It's a space where you integrate, uh, as I said, interdisciplinary subjects, which actually contribute towards STEM, and create innovative models that is a solution for issues that is faced by the community that they live. So say for example, our children right now is working on a project of temperature sensitive irrigation system, which is created using localized materials. When I say localized materials, our children are, yes, of course, they are using some tools like drilling machine, soldering iron, and things like that to build the circuits and other things. But most of the items that they have is collected from their home or from the surroundings of their school, and creating a model that is actually scalable, and only using only the concepts that they have from grade 5 to 10. We are not using anything which is like robotic, automated systems and all, but ultimately the product have came out beautifully as an automated system. So it's basically breaking that stereotype type thought process of innovation is equal to suffocated technology. Innovation is equal to, you know we have something called ATL lab in India, right? I'm sure you are aware of it. ATL labs are like so expensive labs. It costs 12 lakh for us to establish one ATL lab, and where a maker space you can establish out of 8,000 rupees, which is like affordable by even a government school. You don't need a sponsor for that. And this is also helping the teachers to build that curiosity, problem solving capacity, collaboration, which is like the basic principles of STEM, to bring that inside the classroom, and uh, help the children to use the concept that they learn, apply the concept that they learn in their curriculum. So the starting of design thinking process, which is like empathize to a problem, and then to define the problem, and then ideate, create a prototype, test, and scale. The entire process is done by a child, and the teacher, we have someone called nodal teachers who are selected from the school itself, act as a facilitator who will not um, tell the children that this is the problem that you need to sort of address, but of course they will guide the child in terms of collecting the data, in terms of doing the data analysis, but they'll be only there as a facilitator. So this is the concept of makerspace, and I think this is helping our rural schools in Hazaribagh at least in a much better way, the way we are seeing the results that is coming up.
Thank you, Sindoori. So I learned basically this is very new for me and very interesting aspect. What is Maker's Lab? And you mentioned that it is different from ATL Lab.
Absolutely, it's extremely different from ATL lab. We do have items that is helping the children to understand robotics, but we don't have anything which is pre-assembled, or which is kind of a Lego kit. We don't have it. Our children build it from the scratch.
I understood Maker's Lab well, and I understand that I believe it's a low cost model. It is much compatible with low resourced government schools. But tell me something about ATL Lab. Like, what is it? Who introduced it? How it is done? How much does it cost? How does it work? What are the different options government school teachers have at their disposal?
Yeah. So ATL Lab is basically Adult Tinkering Labs. I was just using the abbreviation. Introduced by Niti Aayog in the year 2000, I think, yeah, 2016 or 17. It has certain criterias. Even if it is for government schools, it has a criteria of having a classroom of 1,500 square feet. I mean, a space, a free space, because you have a list of equipments which you can purchase from the gem. I mean, government e-marketplace, and you can only purchase items from there. That's a constraint that ATL Lab has. So ATL Lab introduced to give children from grade 6 onwards to have an exposure towards STEM and robotics. So basically, it's a 5-year project sponsored by central government, where a total of 20 lakh rupees is granted to a government school, out of which 12 lakh rupees is for the infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, it includes the painting and then the maintenance of the room, basically electrification and all, and then the STEM product, which includes robotic kits, which includes a 3D printer, right? You have, I mean, the lab doesn't have much of a biology related equipments. It is more focused on physics and mathematics. And then you have the remaining 8 lakh rupees, which is for the operations of this lab. So there should be a dedicated nodal teacher from the school who will be in charge of taking care of this STEM lab, and there will be one STEM trainer who's like sort of, you can either hire them, uh, or the company who provides you the ATL lab equipments. Most of the time, they provide a STEM trainer for the period of 5 years, and then yeah, that's how it operates. And only children from grade 6 onwards, 6 to 12, grade 12, and they have a curriculum for it that includes aerospace technology, that includes drone, that includes robotics, that includes mathematical modeling and computational thinking, right? So this is what ATL is. It has been introduced by the Niti Aayog, and at the beginning it got a lot of attention, and it's extremely good for children at the urban setup, because they do have a little bit of exposure towards whatever we say technology is. But when you introduce this into a rural setup where people don't even have proper electricity for an hour, where you don't have internet connectivity, like I have worked with schools in Assam where teachers go to a junction to get internet connectivity to update their daily routines on WhatsApp. But they don't have internet, they don't have proper electricity to do a experiment at their classroom. So most of the time, what I have seen is after a year of operation is just, it's I think it's too much I'm saying. Like just 6 months after that, ATL labs are not that operational because of these constraints. Even though it's a very good concept, somehow at the rural level I could not see much success of ATL labs. So that is the major reason why we sort of thought bringing something called maker space, which which actually built from the scratch.
This is a very in-depth understanding of you have about ATL labs and makerspace, and I think what I understood broadly is that ATL lab is designed very well, although it is very idealistic as opposed to being realistic. Because in India, the internet connection is still a challenge in many districts and many sub taluks and these government schools where we are talking about. And that's where maker space comes as a ray of hope, that they are the tools where teachers can rely less on technology but more on their curiosity and creativity and still learn the STEM concepts. So I think for other labs to be completely successful, there needs to be an overhaul of infrastructure that needs to be done. Like the basics needs to be there in place, especially
Yeah.
related to connectivity and like the maintenance of hardware. Thank you so much, Sinduri, for that. That brings us to our third phase of our interview, and the question goes like, what do you want to see changed in the Indian education system when it comes to teachers training, and if anything, in the design or implementation of national education policy?
Uh, NEP 2020 is absolutely a great, change that is going to bring to our education system if it is getting implemented the way it is envisaged. Um, why I said this is because there are absolutely great opportunities in the new education policy. But looking at the system that we have, looking at the one thing that I have experienced is that our teachers are very good at having, they're absolutely great in terms of having knowledge. They have great knowledge about the subject. When I say that, it's at the theory basis. But even at the teacher training, when you look at the way the trainings has been designed, it's still in house. It still don't give that exposure to a teacher to explore the concept. Okay. And that's where the change needs to come. The pedagogy needs to be designed in a way that the teacher get enough time and resources to explore the concept before they sort of communicate that to children. I believe that teaching is more or less about communicating and facilitating rather than just transacting curriculum, right? I being a teacher must be able to articulate what is there in my mind, and my listener, whoever is listening to me, needs to understand what I'm trying to say. And third thing, and the most important thing when we are talking about STEM, is that our we need to start accepting that in our classroom of 30 children, there are 30 different types of learners. The training needs to be designed in such a way that the teacher knows how to create a child centric classroom rather than a teacher centric classroom, where the child has an opportunity to choose the way the child wants to understand the concept. That's the first thing. Because even NEP talks about universal design for learning. There are many state governments who have already started trying to implement the three minimum three principles of UDL, which is like, means of engagement, means of you know uh, activity, and then means of outcomes, right? But the teachers doesn't know how to handle a classroom. Even NGO sector, the trainings that we have, uh, it's 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 like, we have started practicing it, but we need to go. Bringing STEM into a community, it's not only the responsibility of the teachers, but it's a collective responsibility. We need to create an ecosystem at the community level as well. The narrative of STEM needs to be understood by the parents and the community to sort of get it accepted and practiced at the school. So that is something. The engagement of parents and communities in the STEM activities, especially for girls, because it's again, the parents are not that aware that uh, what how does a STEM career would look like, right? So these are the things, but NEP is giving us a lot of hope in terms of building that 21st century skills into children, and then bringing that awareness of STEM. But that also needs to have a community engagement. If that is there, I think we would have much more success in terms of achieving what is envisaged in the policy.
So I basically learned three main big boulders from your answer, which is one is that the training that is provided to teachers is very theoretical. That needs to have very much a component of exploration of subject so that when they explore the concept fully, they are able to communicate that to the students well. And when they communicate, then the ideation and the prototype and everything will flow from there, and we can tie it back to the design thinking. The second very important thing you said about is that the importance of STEM education and the realization by the parents that how important STEM education is, because it is directly related to their STEM careers later in life. And although the policy has been well laid out, I think the lacunae is in its implementation on the field level that needs to be done. And the third thing, with very important thing that you said, is that STEM is not just the responsibility of the teachers, it's the responsibility of the whole ecosystem, of the whole community, that all the stakeholders that are there, teachers, parents, educators, block education officer, district education officer, those other people in influential positions, they are equally responsible to make an ecosystem in which students thrive when they are learning STEM, and
Absolutely.
they truly understand what does it mean to do to learn STEM in their daily lives. Okay, so this brings me to the fourth question, Sinduri, which is like, what are some actionable steps that policymakers, educators, and institutions can take to improve teacher training? And some of it you have already answered
Yeah.
previously, that it has to become student centric as opposed to teacher centric. But still, what are some actionable steps that you will recommend?
One thing that we as an NGO we are trying to practice is that uh, yeah so one thing that is absolutely required is a lab at the diet level. I'm sure you understand what is a diet, right? There is a district institute for educational
Just for our
training.
viewers, yeah, for the viewers, just explain what is diet.
Yeah, so diet is
And for
district
people are
institute
learning, so they just
institute for educational training, and that's where the teachers get trained. Okay. there should be at least a one STEM lab at the diet level, even if it is not there at the school level, for the teachers to explore the concepts. If I have to suggest a change in teachers training, I would say the teachers needs to get that opportunity, the freedom to create DIY kits by themselves, which is absolutely important in terms of helping them to create a sustainable uh, way of transacting STEM curriculum. Because most of the time what happens is government also provides certain TLMs which is procured, and people like us also provide materials to them. And what happens after these materials are consumed? Okay, the answer is they stop practicing it. Okay, and the reason behind is the teacher says that, we don't have the materials. How can I perform the activity, or how can I perform this experiment at my class, in my classroom, when I don't have the material, right? And we have come up with a solution for that. Now again, we have something called localized TLMs for STEM training. I think along with providing materials, it's absolutely important to give TLMs to teachers at the beginning, but it is also important for the teachers to understand how can I recreate it when I don't have these materials at my classrooms and still practice what I learned during my training sessions. It is applicable for STEM, it is applicable even for FLN, because when the NAS 2017 report came
FLN
out,
is foundational
foundational
literacy and
literacy and
numeracy.
numeracy, when the result came out, the national assessment survey result on 2017 came out, India was like, it was a shocking news for us, and the prime minister announced that the FLN is the highest priority. It's a national emergency for us to make sure that every child who's sitting at grade 3 understand how to read and write with comprehension, along with performing basic arithmetic operations. But what happened after that, we had a lot of teachers training. Every all of us, like whoever is working in the education sector, try to contribute towards it. The government has came up with Nipun Bharat, right? Um, but now what happens is that the teachers got a lot of TLMs, like, huge number of TLMs at their classrooms, to help children who's not at the mark, to sort of bridge the learning gap that they have developed, either due to corona or due to other factors that is there. But now teachers are not able to practice it because they don't understand how can I recreate these TLMs at my classroom, or how can I replace a particular item which has got consumed, right? So it is very important in the teacher training itself to help the teachers to explore the concept by themselves, rather than having framed uh, training modules. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Sindoori. So, what you basically said that the teachers need to learn how to make teachers training and learning materials, and not just be dependent on what is being given and taught to them during the training. They should
Hmm.
have the capability to make new teaching and learning material throughout the academic cycle, so that can constantly engage students in a productive way. Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you. So now the last question that I have, and before we close our interview, is that what message would you like to convey to aspiring teachers and those currently working in the education sector?
um it's a very important question. The message that I have is, don't just talk about the concept which is there in the textbook. Help the children, help the whoever you are teaching, whether it is children, whether it is adult, because STEM is a new concept, at least for many areas in India. It's very important to give the learner the opportunity to explore the concept by themselves, rather than feeding them uh, what is already there, written in the textbooks. right? So that's one advice I would like to give to people, and help build the capacity of teachers or the educators to create uh, materials, transacting materials by themselves, rather than sort of being an advisory at a level, and then create modules and just dump to teachers. Because I have been seeing that people like us create lots of worksheets, lots of lesson plans, and then ask the teachers to sort of use it in the classroom. And the teachers, most of the time, they do it because of pressure, rather than having that mindset of creating a change inside the classroom. And that, to bring that mindset, you need to involve the teacher in the making process, in the creation process, because it's very important to understand the user's perspective when you create a product for someone. uh, yeah.
Thank you so much, Sinduri. Thank you. It has been a great experience talking to you throughout today. And do you have any questions for us?
I'm actually looking forward to this is something that I have been following up on LinkedIn, and it's very interesting that you are trying to bring something which is something unique that I've seen so far, to create a fellowship for bringing change in STEM in the rural education setup. I'm looking forward, and I would love to sort of contribute towards it. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me
you
here.
so.